with the while loop, we have the condition and then the body of the loops. So based on the conditions here, and if it is true, we go into the body here. And if you have many of the statement, you will open it and close it with all the statements, there. So the while loop will allow you, sorry, just 1 second. So the while loop will allow you to run the repetitions. I mean, you repeat doing things again and again, multiple times until the condition is false. So that is the way the while loop works, and you all try to do a couple of problems so far. So let's have a look of what other kinds of looping we have got here besides the while loop. So for the while loops, remember the condition must be false at a time, sometime in the future. When you keep looping one time, it must be false, otherwise it will become an infinite loops. It will go forever. So be very careful on that, especially when you are new to programming. If you miss the case that it will be false forever. So that ones were. So as I mentioned to you last time, when they try to use a comparison, they try to reverse it in the way that they put the variable on the right hand side and the values on the left hand side, so that if you miss the double equal sign here, it will raise an error instead of raising the warning. So in the last example, where you input the n to stop your, input the n here to say, okay, I input wrongly the earlier input here. So if you enter whether is it correct or not, if it's not correct, you allow him or her to run the second time to input again the data. So here, to guarantee that the data is entered correctly, so they use a loop to give the second chance, a third chance for the user to input the data. And when you input no, it's not correct, they allow you to again. So here they want to check the small n and the big n is still incorrect, so to allow to input again. But it's better to check it's not the yes, not the y here, meaning yes. I will go again. So in order to work on the character here, because when you input a character, you have a, small a and big A, small y, small yes and big yes. So there is a function in the C-type library that will make it a character to the upper or the lower case. So if you are working on the case sensitive, you can use this to lower or to upper to convert it. Say to lower for a cha, I will convert all the characters into the lower case, and you have that function to help you to work on the cha in order to turn it on into the lower case. There is another one that is to upper, to turn it into the upper case when you are working on cha. So this is one more additional sorry, my network is not stable even run fast here, but not stable. Can you hear me again? Can you see the screen again? Sorry, everyone. Okay, thank you. So there is a function here to help you working on the chair that is called to lower, to upper. So to lower, I will change the chair, the character here into the lower case. And versus we have another one is to upper, to enforce that character to the uppercase. So that is an additional function that you can use to work on the chair. And later, when we have more time working on the chair, you will see they would be very useful when we are working on. So here is to upper. So now, last time we worked on the while loop. Now I introduce you to the do while loop. So the do while loop it has the form like this: do, and then if you have only one single statement, you put the single statement here, and then while, and then the conditions. So unlike the while loop, you have the while loop is this: you have something, and then you have while, the condition, and then you open up and you do something here and close it and something later. So if the do while loop, you have many statements here. You also have open and close brackets like this. So if I have one single statement, I don't need to open the parenthesis and close it. But if I have many, I will do it like this. So let's see how it is working in the while loops and do while loops here. So if I name it, if I name this one is number 1, condition is number 2, the inside here is number 3, and this one is number 4. And here, if I'm adding here, so this is number 1 condition. If I call the condition is number 2, this one is number 3, and something number 4. So to be equivalent to the condition up there, so I name it with the numbers like this. So what it will do here, so in the while loop, you will do number 1, then you will check number 2. If number 2 is true, you do number 3, and then you come back to number 2 and true, do number 3, and until the number 2 is false, this one is false, you do number 4. This is the way it works for the while loop. This is for the while loop. So how it works with the do while loops? This is a while loop. So the do while loop, on the other hand, I will do this way. So firstly, I will do number 1, yes, the same thing. Come down here, do number 1, and then I do number 2. Number 3, sorry. I do number 3, and then I go in here and do number 3. So do 1, do 3, and then check number 2. Check number 2, then I check number 2. If number 2 is okay, yes, it's true. Sorry, it's true. If number 2 is true, I do number 3 again. Keep doing. So if number 2 is true, I come back and do number 3 again. And then until the number 2 is false, I will do number 4. So you see, this is the do while loop. What is the key difference between the while loop and do while loop here, everyone? Can you see the flow of the toe here? What is the key difference? What is the key difference here? Okay, I check the condition first in the while loop. How about the do while? Everyone? Mai Vĩnh mentioned that the while check the condition first. Yeah, Minh Bảo mentioned that it doesn't check the first time for the do while loop. So look here. If you look into the number 3, this is the key difference, the number 3. The number 3 here, it will be done always at least one time here in the do while loops. So regardless the condition number 2 is true or false, we don't care the true or false in the number 2. At least one time we do the number 3 because we do first. So do the number 3 first and then we will check, because doing the number 3 first and then we will check, so that the number 3 always it must be done at least one time. If the condition is true again, I will do more times on the 3. But if we don't care about the condition number 2, at least we will do number 3 one time. So that is a do while loop, comparing to the while loops where the while loop we only have the condition check first before we do the things inside. So the number 3 in the while loop here, you may not do anything if the condition at the first time it failed, it false. So this is the key difference. So it depends on your flow. Maybe there are cases that you need to do it one time before you go into other checking. Okay, if that is the case, you will use a do while loop instead. So as I just mentioned to you, the do while loop inside the body here, it can be one statement or compound statement, and you use a open and close parenthesis. And remember, it's always executed one time at least, whether the logical expression is false or true. Even if false, we still need to do it one time. And for example, here we get the response. We don't care what is the response. We ask the user to input the data first, and then we check if it is correct or not, and we input the response here. And now we check if they said it's not correct yet. It's not correct yet. Come back, do it again. So because if you look into the semantic here, always you allow the user input first, input one time first. If that is the logic, always you should use a do while loop, which is better than the while loop. If you remember the while loop earlier, we are using the while loop here. You set up the response was no beforehand. If you remember the earlier example, we have to set up the response beforehand so that it will enforce the while loop here to do one time. But if you convert it into the do while loop, you will see, okay, you allow it go in first, you input, and I will ask you, is it okay or not okay. If it's not okay, I allow you to do it again. So that is, if that is a logic, you use the do while loop, which is better than the while loop, because the while loop earlier, you have to set up the response was no beforehand. Here, the response, you haven't got anything yet until you get the input, until you get the input. So that is the difference between the while loop and do while loop. So now I would like to share the last one in the 3 loops for you. So with the last one here, okay, that is mean the for loop. So similarly, I would like to note it here first. So I call this one is 1. So earlier, you remember you have a while loop, while conditions, and then something here and something later. So I name this one is 1, this one is 2, this one is 3, and this one is 4. And remember last time we do 1 first, do 1, and then check 2, do 1, check 2. Okay, if it's true, we do 3. If it's false, we do 4. And after doing 3, I come back to check 2. Okay, this one was a while loop. So look at this one. We have in the for loop, if you see here, we have 3 parts. 3 parts. And if you have many statements here, you will open and close. You can have many. And this one is more. So I call this one is 1A, and this one is 1B. This one is 2. This one is 3A, and this one is 3B, and this one is 4. So look in the for loop here, the way it works. Okay, it go top down here. So it will do 1A first, and then it go into the for loop here. I will do 1B. I will do 1B. And then I will go into the 2. I will check number 2. If the number 2 is true, if this one is true, I will do the 3A. Do the 3A. I will do the 3A. And it come back here to do the 3B. Do the 3B. Okay. Do the 3B. And I go to the 2, check again. I go back to the 2, check again. So 2, check again. If it's still true, it's still true here. I will do 3A, do 3B until it is false. If 2 is false, it will go out here. If it's false, it do the 4. So if you look into the flow, if you look into the flow of the for loop here, comparing to the while loop here, they are the same. You do 1A, you do 1B, so you do 1 here. So if I move the 1B here to be split, so here you have 2 parts, 1A and 1B. So the 1B here is done also before the checking. So in the for loop here, in the for loop, they will split into 3 parts and separated by the semicolon here. And before it go into the body of the for loops. So if you look into the for loop, comparing to the while loop, the number 1 now, it been split into 2 parts. We call it 1A and 1b. So what is 1b and what is 1a? So 1b is something that will affect for the loops. Instead of a normal 1a, it is something above the for loop that is not relating directly to the for loop. So comparing to the while loop now, if you consider the part which will affect or which will be initialized or prepare for the loops, it's called 1b. So the 1b here will be prepare. So if you look into the loops here, I clean up a bit in the loops here. So if you look into the loops here, they will prepare. Okay, I is 1. I is 1. Like the while loop, you also need to prepare I is 1 or I is 0. Sorry, here I is 0. So I is set to 0 before the looping. So I consider I here is relating to the loop. So I put into the 1b. Into 1b here is something to prepare for the loops. So we have 0 for I. And if I is less than 9, I is less than 9. So check the condition. Like the loops, you also need to check the condition. If I is less than 9, you print out I. So I print out 0 and end line. And then I go back to increase the I. In the number 3 here of the while loop, you also have some statement which will make the effect on the condition. And here they split it into that 3b. That 3b. So in the 3b here, so here is a toe and here is 3a. 3a is something you need to repeat many times, but 3b is something that may affect for toe. So they keep in 3b here. So I increase one more. So I is 1 now. And it's still less than 9. So we'll print out 1. Print out 1 and increase I to 3, to 2, to 3, to 4, to 5, until to 8. Yeah, 8 less than 9. So print 8 out and increase I one more. That is 9. 9 is not less than 9. And I stop and go out. So you look in the while loop and the for loop, they are the same. They are the same. Only they try to split the 1b and 3b to be clearer, for the loops. The 1b is something like initialization for the loops. So in the for loop, what you start with, you initialize I is 0 now to start with the looping, and you still check the number 2, do the 3. But number 3 here also they split into 3a and 3b. 3a is the one you need to do many times. 3b is a thing that may change the effect of the condition. So here that's C out I, and then you increase the I, increase the I, increase the I. So the I keep moving up and up until it change the condition that it's no longer less than 9. So that is a way people are using for the for loop here. So the for loop, if you look into this case, it will bring out 0 to A, 0, 1, 2 until A. So starting, okay, I is 0. If I still less than 9, we print out and increase I, go back, check if it's still less than 9, print out, go increase I, go to check. If it's less than 9, keep going. So the for loop, to some of you, if you are new in programming, remember the for loop in C and C++, there are a few parts in the for loops here, and it is split that out like this. So something before this, it is belongs to somewhere else. Here is the init. To init that, like I is set to 0. Here is the condition. Number 2 here. Here is 1a, 1b, sorry. 2 here is the condition. The expression. The 3a's here is something you want to do many times. And 3b here is to change the effect for the 2. So like increase I here, you change the effect. Okay, you keep increasing to be until one day one time. Two, number two, the condition is not true anymore. Remember, this is a semicolon. Semicolon to split those, they are different statement, different condition. You can leave it empty here. You can leave it empty here. You can have the this for loop. You can rewrite this for in I is 0, I less than 9, and you semicolon, and you leave nothing here, and you put CL I and line here, and you put plus I here. This is still okay. Remember, you can leave this one empty. You can leave nothing here because you keep the plus I inside the for loop. That's okay. That's okay. So to move the plus I here, it look better. It look easier to see. Okay, this one will affect the condition. So I move it here instead of keeping here. The initialize I also, you can keep I is 0 here and leave this one blank for the 1b here, to leave it blank, like I set to 0, and you have a for loop and nothing here, and semicolon I less than 9 plus I, like this. It's still okay. It's still okay. And CL inside here. So you can leave that one, the first one, also blank. Of course, you can leave the second blank, but this is a condition. Anyway, you need a loop with a condition. So you need to have it most of the time. But the first one and the last one, it depends. Yeah, you can keep it outside here, but normally the first part of the for loop is initialization of the loop. The second part is a condition. The third part is something that you may change the condition. Okay, that is the meaning of the for loop when you have 1, 2, 3 here beside the body of the for loop. So the first one here is initialization. The second one is a condition. The third one here is something that will change for the condition. Okay, so this is, we have learned 3 types of the loops. 3 types of the loop: while loops, do while loops, and for loops. They are almost the same. They are almost the same, except that the do while is something a little bit special, that you do it one time. You do it one time. While and for loop, they are completely the same, but do while slightly different in the way that at least you do one time. You don't check, but you do it. Which one you need to use? It's up to you. It's up to you. As long as they can help you to repeat, so it's okay. If it can help you to repeat, it's okay. So don't worry about what kind of loops you are using. But normally people prefer to use a for loop like this one. They know the counting when I mean the number of times you loop. Okay, the number of times you know very clearly, like this. You counting up like 0, 1, 2, 3 until 9. So at that time they prefer to use the for loop. If the number of times you know very well. If the number of times you know very well, use a for loop. The while loop, you are not very clear the number of times until a certain case. Say just input the response until the response is yes, we will stop. It's either yes, small yes, a big yes here, you will stop. And you don't know how many times the user will enter correctly, at maybe 2 times, maybe 3 times, maybe 10 times, but you are waiting for the user to confirm, and they prefer to use it while loop. Can we use it for loop? Yes, of course you can use a for loop, but at a normal practice that people often use, programmers often use, they have some preference there for the for loop and the while loop, but in terms of programming they are the same. So do it with your, it's up to you, your preference. Okay, so that is about the for loop. So you learn on 3 kinds of loop now. I'm not sure if you have any questions. If you have any questions, feel free to type in. So normally the for loop here, people will split it into initialization, the conditional statement, and the increment. Normally the last part, they do the increment to increase. And that is the look and the form of the for loops if you are using. Remember the body here, if you have many, you have parentheses here. Like earlier in the loops, you initialize a variable, check the condition, and do the body and increase it. So it's quite simple. So here, if you compare the for loops and the while loops, so here the initialization sit outside of the while loop, we're in it, and this is the initialization. The condition, yeah, the conditions, the body here is 3a and here is 3b. Why the 3b is putting up here? So they are the same. They are the same. So a switchable. So any of them you can use it. Also, the for loop can handle the setting up here and checking whether it's yes or no, and you input again. So earlier, you can also program the for loop for the while loop of the response yes or no here, but it doesn't look nice. People don't use this way to use a for loop. They prefer to use a while or the while loop for this case. But even though you can easily do it with the for loop, just for the illustration here to do it. But people rarely use a for loop for this kind of repeating. They use for loop more on the no number of counting of repetition, number of times for the repetition. Okay, number of times. If they know and they count up by the increment, that the for loop often being used. Okay, to make you familiar with this, I would like you to do a couple of more exercises. So I would like you to do this. So the exercise today, you are asked, to implement a C++ program to allow user to input integer numbers one by one until he or she input 0. To start. Print down the biggest number that he or she inputted. Okay, so for example, you will ask a user to input input integer number. So they will input, okay, 17, and then 25, and then -3, and then 1023, and then 37, and then -50, 45, and then 0 to start. So your output, you should show the biggest number is 1023. So remember the number 0 here. Number 0 here is a stopping condition. We don't count 0 in the comparison here. Remember. So for example, if I input like -7, -3, -23, and 0 to start, the output must be -3. This is the biggest. Is it clear to you? Take the yes if the problem is clear to you. Everyone, okay, please do it now. You have 10 minutes maximum. Use any kind of loops. If the user input 0 at the first time, you just say there's no biggest number because nothing. You didn't input any number yet. So just print now. Yeah, good question, Phúc Khang. Phúc Khang asked if the user input 0 at the beginning. Just print now. There is no biggest number. If they just input 0 and enter, so no biggest number. Because we have no number to compare. Okay, 10 minutes maximum for all of you to do it now. You can use any kind of loops you have learned. While loop, do while loop, or for loops. Any. Okay, please do it now. Yeah, please remember to tick yes when you have done. You can use any kind of loops you like. We have learned 3 of them already. While loops, do while loops, and for loops. Any you can use in order to show, okay, what is the maximum, the biggest number of those listed inputted numbers. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask in the chat box, please. Okay, anyone else? We have seen 10 here. I need 5 or 6 more before we can see how your friend has done it. Okay, I have seen 15 of you now. How about others? Nghĩa Việt, Lê Việt, Tuấn Việt, Đăng Huy, Duy Phước, Hồng Ngọc, Như Vinh. Did you finish? Minh Quang, Lê Quốc, Hữu Thắng, Hữu An, Lâm Tùng. Minh Bảo. Okay, so I would like to invite one person. So Hoàng Như Vân, can you share your work, Như Vân? I will stop my screen share now. Can you share your work to your friends, please? So with 3 different types of the loops, while waiting for Vân, I mean, with 3 different types of the loops, as I mentioned to you, you can use any of them to illustrate the repetition. But when you get used to them, you will be familiar of using one or another, because the for loop is something very special and the while loop is a little bit different. Okay. So so please have a look here. In his work, you have 5 minutes maximum to read, and please help me. Tick the yes if it's correct. Tick the no if it's not correct. And if you have any comment, any discussion you want to share, please type in the chat box. Is it correct? Tick the yes if it's correct, and tick the no if it's not correct. Tick the yes if it's correct and tick the no if it's not correct. Everyone, please. Everyone else. Hoài Nam mentioned that using the max function, you have to include the algorithm library. Yeah, actually it depends on the compiler. Some of them require the library included. Some others, they may already include it in the normal. Yeah. Bảo Minh asked, what if Minh Quang also asked, what if we input a number smaller than the default value you set up here? So there's the first problem is that if someone input like minus of 10 power 9 here and minus 1, I mean it's smaller than that number. So first of all, we have trouble if our input number is smaller than this one, because he assumed that all the numbers within the range of minus 10 power 9 up to the maximum of the integer. So look here, that is the first comment. Anything else? The second thing that I don't like when some of the developers or some of you are doing this. Why true? I noticed that quite a few of programmers, especially for those who are entering some competitions, you often set up a while true. This is not a good practice to do. This is not a good practice to do. Because why true here? When you have a condition, and that condition is always true. It is not a good condition to set up. So in the loop also, when you try to show the condition is always true, meaning that you are quite lazy in thinking about the stopping condition. Instead, if you look into the way of your friend try to share here, I mean, Newman share here, he used a break. We didn't learn a break yet. We haven't learned a break that yet. But most of you, when you read, I'm sure you understood what does it mean on the break. By the way, when he using the break here, meaning that he want to stop your loops and jump out of the loops at this time. So the break, using the break and using the while true is not a good way to handle the loops, even though it works in this case. I mean, regardless the value you enter smaller, for everything else it works, but it's not a good way of programming. So when you use a while loop, try to think more carefully on the design of the algorithm that you are using here. The algorithm you are using here, you don't care, you just loop until one time and the number n enter is not zero, is zero, you jump out. So this is not a good design, and it was the old way of thinking, because during the old time of programming, people often use some of the jumping. They jump from one place to another in programming. They jump, okay, from anywhere they jump. Anywhere, if it meet a certain condition, they jump out. So here the breaking is a jump out, and the loops, we don't care about the stopping condition of the loops, but we use it always true. So even though this one work if people input within the range, but I don't encourage you here to do this way. And try, if you have a while loop, don't never put a true here, even though it works, but try to think about the condition. Try to think about the condition, the stopping condition, rather than set it up as true here. Okay. Thank you, Newman, for sharing. Anyone else? Yeah. Please remember next time, try to do it in a better way. Try to think more, yeah, on the condition. So yeah, Newman have changing a bit here of inputting the num and change. But anyone else, can you have another way which you think it is better and you don't get a looping for true, and you would like to share your work? Please raise your hand or take your yes if you want to share your work. And remember, in earlier work from Hưng, if someone input smaller numbers than his default values for the max, is still being wrong. Tuấn Anh, can you share your work, Tuấn Anh? Okay, again, another one. Okay. So I don't know why, but most of you, when you learn in your high school, I don't know why most of you prefer the way that you set up the true in the while loop and then try to jump out. But again, here he tried to avoid whether there's a biggest number or not, having a biggest number with the zero or not. Okay. Thanks, Tuấn Anh. I would like to find out someone who don't use the while true loop. Anyone here? Thanks, Tuấn Anh, for sharing. Because it's not a good way of thinking. I mean, I noticed that a lot of you, during your high school years, I don't know why you learn that way, but it's not a good design designing when you try to do that way. Đức Hân, can you share your work, Đức Hân? I saw quite a few of you raise your hand. Yeah, thank you for being active in the class. But look at Đức Hân here. Yeah, if you want to start, enter 0 and input your number, and you see in. So please have a look on Đức Hân. So you see the stopping condition here. If the inputted number is not 0, you continue. If it's 0, you stop. And this is based on what we have learned. So 2 minutes for you to read and tick the yes if it's correct, and tick the no if it's not correct. Yeah, Mai Vĩnh, Minh Bảo also gave some comments here. How about the negative number case? How about negative number case? If you input a negative number, will it work, everyone? This one. If I input -10, will it work? So look, because your max is setting up with 0. So if the I here input is a negative number, so max is still bigger than that negative. So you don't update the max. You don't update the max. Okay. So let's see, Đức Hân, can you see it? Can you understand it? And the second problem in your work, not only with the negative number, not only the negative number. The second thing, the second problem is that you check the if outside here. If I is different from 0, this is wrong. This is wrong. You should check the max, not the I. Because the I is a number, keep inputting here. The final I is 0 anyway. It always go out here, the I is 0. Because the while loop is I not 0, you still loop. So when you get out of the while loop, the I is 0. So when checking I here, again in the line 14, it's wrong checking. Maybe you make a mistake there also. Okay, Đức Hân, thanks for sharing. Anyone else who cover both the negative and the positive number? Please raise your hand, and without using the why true. Okay, Kim Phát, can you share your work? Trần Kim Phát. Yeah, Bảo Minh also mentioned that when you name a variable, because the max is a function in C++, so you try to avoid the name conflicts also. Thank you, Bảo Minh. So again, Kim Phát is trying another case. So he used do while loop in this case. Scene A. So Phát try to share the special case here. Okay, the special case. Besides that, it set up the max is A. Enter 0 to start. Is it okay, everyone? Is it correct or not? Is it correct or not? Okay. I saw one thinking yes. Yeah, yes, but to some comment, like Bảo Minh mentioned, that it could be shorter. Anyone have a shorter version of this? Thanks for sharing, Kim Phát. Anyone have a shorter version? Raise your hand, please. Thiên Phúc, yeah, please. Thiên Phúc, can you share your work? So you have many ways to make it work, but you can have a more efficient way. At the moment, I don't focus too much on the efficiency, but look, you can do it shorter. So again, your friend is setting up here. The while loop. So please have a look. If it's okay, this program, if find out the biggest number among the one you inputted, when you enter 0, it's to start. And then he see into I and started with I is minus 1, so that it can go into the while loop. He used the while loop. Why other they use the do while loop now? With Phúc, he used the while loop. Enter I, and if I is not 0 and I is bigger than max, how about this one, everyone? Any comment? Can you even make it shorter? Everyone else? Here, he got another checking if exists. At a Boolean number to make sure that there's a number to be shown, and then he will show it. So he turned the exists to true. Anyone have a better way? Is it okay? Okay. Minh Quang, he assumed this minus infinitive, meaning that is the smallest number you can have for the long. What he meant here, that you could not enter in computers a smallest number than that. And another one, it is using the exist. Anyone here, you are using the special value 0 to handle? Anyone who are using the 0 as a special value, because 0 is not counted here. So did you use a 0 as a special value to handle the situation rather than using the infinitive? Bảo Minh, thanks Thiên Phúc for sharing. Bảo Minh, can you share your work? So because if you read my problem description carefully, I didn't use 0 as a value here. 0 is something special. 0 is something special. Okay. So look at this work. C in into n. If max is not n, smaller than n, update the n. And if n is 0, CL no biggest number. So he tried to treat the first value of max is n here by using the if and else here to start up the max is n. Is it correct, everyone, please? Of course, there are many variants of the solution here you can do. There are many variants here you can do. Okay. This is another way, and here he used a do while loop. Here he used a do while loop. Even some of you can merge everything. I mean, on the checking here, and negative here, you merge it into this if. So there are many. There are many of the ways to handle this, but I just try to ask several people to share his or her work in order to for you to have a feeling of different way to solve the same problem. And this problem is easy. It's very easy. Okay, thanks for sharing, Bảo Minh. I would like to move on with a new problems. Another problem. Thanks, Bảo Minh, for sharing. So there's another problem I would like you to try now, everyone. So let's see. The second problem. Given a positive, now it's positive, integer number n. Given a positive integer number n. A positive integer number n. Print out. Of course, you are right. Implement a program. Print out the closest prime number to n. Okay. Your job is to print out the closest prime number to n. So input. Say if I input, say, okay, number like the number 10, your output would be 11. Okay, that is the closest prime number to 10. If I input, say, number 8, your output is number 7, closest to 8. But if I input, say, number 4, you can output either number 3 or number 5, either. It's okay. You can output 3, it's okay. Output 5, it's okay. You can output 3. Because both of them are the same distance to the number 4. So is it clear to you on the questions? Tick the yes if it's clear to you. So given a positive number n, print out for me the closest prime number. Remember the prime number closest to n. Whether it's smaller or whether it's bigger, but I need a closest. So yeah, 10 minutes for you again, please. Everyone, 10 minutes. Oh, if you input 3, of course, you print out 3. The closest. That is a prime number. So that is the number answer. Thiên Đức, yeah. Thiên Đức asked if the inputted number is a prime number. Yes. Minh Quang asked how large it could be. It is within the range of the integer number. Within the range of the integer number. Yeah. 4 by integer number. So within the range of the biggest positive integer numbers in an int type. Okay, please, everyone, tick the yes when you have done. Using any kind of loop you like, while loop, do while loop, for loop, any. Please. I have seen 3 ticking yes already. 5 now. Is it challenging for many of you? I seem that not many of you have finished yet. Six of you now. Everyone else, how is your work? I leave 2 minutes more for someone who are almost finished to fulfill. Okay, any volunteer to share your work, please? Please raise your hand if you are willing to share your work to everyone else. I have seen 10 of you have finished. Okay, I have seen 3 of you are raising hands now. I would like to invite Khánh Duy for sharing. Just hold on for 1 second. I start my screen share now. Hồ Khánh Duy, can you share your work, please? Can you zoom it a little bit bigger, please? Yeah. Okay, thank you. You are using function now. To some of your friends, they don't know how to work on the function yet. Okay, this is a bit forward in the programming. Just hold on for 1 second. I just want to double check if any one of you haven't used the function yet, but you still be able to solve this. I know, I mean, why Duy is using function. The function check is param, Minh Quang. If you look into the source code from Duy, Khánh Duy, you see the function is param there. Anyone who don't use, who don't define your own function like Duy, because to some of your friends here, they may not understand what you are doing right now if you are using your own function. Sorry, Khánh Duy, but I need to invite someone else to make it easier for your friends. Later, we will learn about function. That's okay. But now, to sum up your friends, they are not familiar to that yet. Hữu Trọng, please. Trọng, can you share your work? Yeah, later when we are learning more, we can use that. So look at his work. I mean, Trọng, you have 5 minutes to read and to let me know if it's correct or not correct. Please tick the yes if it's correct. Give me comments in the chat box if you think it's not correct. Tick the yes if it's correct and tick the no if it's not correct. Okay. So Vẫn and Bảo also mentioned that why you see are dissatisfied when n is less than 2. N is still a positive integer number, so it's still okay if it's less than 2, as long as you find the closest prime number. So that is one case. Yeah, if I input 1, you should output 2 because it's closest anyway. That is one case. Anything else, everyone, based on his work here, besides the input less than 2, like n is 1, we still be able to output 2. Anyone else? Is it correct? Besides n is 1, anything else? Is it all right? Read the work carefully. There's 2 loops here. One is a for loop and one is a do while loop. Is it correct, everyone? Is it correct? When reading, do you understand what he's doing here? There are 2 loops here. He is working on. One is a loop here. And if you read in the loops here, you know what he's doing. And another loop here. And the condition. Is it correct? Tick the yes if it's correct and tick the no if it's not correct. What's wrong, everyone? Yeah, if you look into the comment from Thiên Phúc, he said, this program only consider prime numbers smaller than or equal to n, but not those greater than n. If you look here, n is the input thing. N is the input thing. And then he assigned n to a. And he checked if a is a prime number or not. If a is not a prime number, he reduced n. He reduced n. And then going up and repeat. So if, say, in the numbers, you have number 10 here, which is n. So the next closest Prime number is 11. Rather than you go down 9 here, 8 here, and 7 here, and you stop at 7. Is it clear, John? So you need to check from both ways, not only the deduction here, the decrement in n, but also number 11. 11 here is closer to 10 than 7. So only here your friend check the backward from n and -1 each of the 10. Thanks, Trump, for sharing. You can upgrade your work to make it work for both sides. Anyone else who are willing to share your work so that it will cover for both sides? Yeah, I would like to invite Trịnh Duy. Yeah. Can you share your work, Trịnh Duy? So look now with the cases. So n is the input. N is the input here. And he maintained two numbers, n1 and n2. Firstly, it's equal to n. Starting n1 and n2 is n. Okay. And then he got the loops. Can you scroll down a bit so that the full loop will be shown? Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Because initialization is easy to understand for everyone. So look at the loops. So look here. He got this for loop, and you all know what is meaning for the for loop. And with the n, this is the n. He tried, one is to going up and one is to going down. So n1 will go up, n2 will go down. So everyone else read and let me know if it's correct or not. So that is the main idea, and this is the condition of the while loop, and the two for loops were there. So read carefully. You have 5 minutes to read and to check if it's correct. Any comment from you guys? Any comments from you guys? Any comment? Is it correct, everyone? Please tick the yes if it's correct. Tick the no. Tick the no if it's not correct. I'll give any comment, please. 2 minutes for all of you to read and to let me know what you think. Is it yes or no, everyone? I have seen 3 of you agree yes. How about others? Khánh Duy, Minh Giang, Đăng Huy, Phúc Khang, Anh Khôi, Tuấn Việt, Như Vinh. Đình Tùng asked if we can use Eratosthenes. Yeah, you can use it, but you haven't learned how to store them yet. We will use it later, not now, because we haven't learned how to store a lot of numbers beforehand. So it could be applicable if you have learned how to store them in an array that we will learn in the next few sessions. But at the moment, for now, we could not do it without knowing how to store those numbers. Yeah. For everyone else. So Thiên Đức mentioned that n is 2 will not work. So by the way, Trịnh Duy, can you run in the case of n is 2 for him to see? For everyone else, please read and check whether it's correct for his work. Okay, can you share the output? Yeah, it output too. So Trịnh Duy already mentioned S2. Yeah, you can read his program again to understand why it's still output 2 correctly. The only thing here, the comment, even though this one work, I mean the idea is nice and the idea is correct. So if you have, if you have n and when you want to find the closest, because it's go in both way, forward and backward here from the n. So here he split into two part. One is to go up and one is to go down. But earlier someone asked me, I remember Wang or someone asked me, because the integer we have a limit of the integer in terms of the range. So even though it works, your source code still working. But remember, when you go up n1 here, it's up to the range. And got out of the range, it will go overflow to the negative. So the working is still okay. But remember, when we are working on numbers in computers, we don't have infinite, but we have the range from minus something here to plus something here. So be careful. I mean, not in this programming, but for many others, you should be careful when you are working, for everyone who are working on programming. Thanks, Duy, for sharing. I give you the last problem for you to try later at home. So for another problem, I would like you to try at home. Now, so, oops, sorry, something wrong with my, just 1 second, sorry. Okay, it's better now. I mean, it's corrupted earlier. Okay, so the problem, I would like you to spend time at home to do it. So also given a positive integer number n, and now n will input bigger or equal to 2. You also been asked to write a program to print out the prime factorization, sorry, of and. So for the input, let's see what I have. For the input, say you input 12. So you convert it into the products of prime factorization here. It would be like 2 multiplied with 2 multiplied with 3. Or someone, if you can do it better, is 2 power 2 multiplied with 3. So this is called a prime factorization. So you factorize into prime numbers. Those are prime numbers. Okay, with n. So given any positive integer n, and n is bigger or equal to 2, I need you to split them down to the products of all the prime numbers. Okay, and if you can put it into the power of like this, it's good. But if not, you can do with the first option here. It's still okay. So is it clear to you on the problem? Please tick the yes. And I need you to practice more at home on the loops. And this is one of the problem I would like you to practice. For those who could not do it with earlier problems in the loops, you can revise of your work. You can do it again and double check with the solution your friends shared earlier in the videos. Everyone else, do you understand the homework here? Minh Giang, Đăng Huy, Anh Khôi. Think that yes, if it's clear to you, because that is for you to work at home. So I make sure that everything is clear to you when you get home and you work. So convert it into prime factorization of a given n, and n is bigger or equal to 2. And the user will input correctly. So you don't need to ensure that the input. But with the given n, how to factorize it into the products of prime numbers. Okay, I think that is for today. And please make sure you practice on the loops, and I will see you again next time. Yeah, thank you very much, everyone. Have a nice weekend. And I will upload the videos later for you to revise it, especially for those who just learned about programming in the last few weeks only. For those who learned during your high school, remember, don't use a while loop true. Why true is not a good way of designing. So try to avoid it. Yeah, thank you. Thank you, everyone. Nice weekend and be safe. Yeah, thanks.